Hello, welcome to Radio FM88 Australia. We're broadcasting on the waters of Hervey Bay. This is the birthplace of whales, and it's the second week. Had the privilege of being out here with the whales, and not so much being in the studios. It's been quite an impressive situation to be hovering on the water, whether you're sailing or motoring or just anchoring up and having the blessing of the whales and the dolphins and the turtles. But anyway, enough of that, because we've got a guest there in the. That's all. Yeah, and she's been very gracious to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning in the United States to be with us, and my co-host all the way from the UK. So we're all operating on 3 different time zones. So of course it's just gone past 7 o'clock on the Australian East Coast. That's Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania. It's 9 o'clock in New Zealand, and it's 10 a.m. in UK, where Andrena's coming from. So without further ado, it's a really interesting conversation we've got with Anna, and I've always been aware that there's 13 star signs. It's now until tonight. We've now learnt that let's continue with the subject of astrology, and it's called Green Dragon Astrology. So without further ado, I hand it over to Andrena, and she can give us the heads up how she came across Anna.
Mm-hmm. Hi, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Anna, for coming at 5 a.m. in the morning. Oh, my gosh, rather you than me. Anyway, no, it's a pleasure to have you on, and I love what you do, and you're so multi-talented in so many areas to do with astrology, star signs, ley lines, song lines, so much more. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of your information with us. So where would we start? So I would like you, if you would, to introduce yourself and tell us exactly where you are in America, and I suppose a good start would be how you grew into this Green Dragon Astrology and all the other things you do, because you're still very young. So you've shared so much knowledge and wisdom in so many years at such a young age, and obviously there's so much more for you to go yet. So so you grew up in New York, or your parents are from New York. Would you like to share more about yourself?
Sure. I'm Anna Torlen, and I'm an artist. First, I'm an artist, and then second, I would say I'm an astrologist, because I'm still learning astrology and astronomy now. It's with the 13 star sign interest. Astronomy is now the new subject that I haven't really explored yet. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and my parents are they met in Soho, or my father's an artist, and they lived in Soho in the 1970s, and my dad's a painter, so that was a great place for them to have an artist loft, and they were in the art scene, and then I came along, and they moved outside of New York City to Greenwich, so we could live more in the country. And then we would go, as I grew up going to museums with my father and learning all about his art world and what that meant to him. And then I just kind of followed in his footsteps, I guess you could say. My interest with astrology was very was very present as I was growing up, but I didn't quite understand why I was really picking up on where the moon was. I was very sensitive to all the stars, and my father was painting about astrology. So he had his astrology wheel, zodiac paintings.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was painting in gold leaf. And at the time, I just felt it was very sacred. It was very esoteric, as you call it now. But at a young age, I saw it as a language. And I was exposed to it at a very early age. And so I was familiar with it. And then so when I went to Santa Fe to study art, I studied at College of Santa Fe. I was also studying painting and studio art, and I went to Rollins College in Florida first. Oh yeah, I'm in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, which is the southeast coast, and
Right.
yeah, it's a little north of Miami. It's in West Palm. We used to live on Palm Beach Island, but I don't live on the island anymore. We live more inland, and so I spent my high school years in Palm Beach, and there are dolphins there, so you can go.
Oh.
Yeah. So right now, if you drive, usually the sunrise, you can drive, and I could drive. It's about 15 minutes away. Drive to the island and say hello to the dolphins, and so I'm a part of the dolphin realm here. So it's not, but no whales, but the
No.
dolphins. You're lucky, but dolphins are close enough. So my dolphins and your whales. And then I was thinking, in the whales. I have a friend in the UK, and she said she lives in Portishead. She's like, "Oh, I can see whales from here." Like,
yeah.
I can see whales, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's amazing! Oh my gosh!" And not really thinking about it. And she's like, "No, oh my god, the land."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
whales, right?" And so she had to give me a little bit of a lesson. Where Wales was, I didn't know. And then Glastonbury tour, where the tour was, and yeah. So back to College of Santa Fe. So I'm studying art, and there was an opportunity to work. I was a website designer, right? They didn't have a website at the time, so I was working in the PR office, and I was coding and kind of introducing people to websites and Photoshop at the time, right? We took slides, we used to scan slides. So I got my slides out to show you the star axis, because I still have them. And
Okay.
I love the slides. Anyway, so I had an opportunity to go to Star Axis, which is Charles Ross's art project. And Charles Ross built this monumental size sculpture in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And what it does is it marks the precession of the equinoxes.
Right.
As you walk up these stairs, you stare up, and it's a naked eye observatory. So with your eyes, you can see where the stars are. And what it does is the shape of the sculpture defines what the sky looked like over 26,000 years.
Gosh.
So it taught me that the sky shifts, that the stars shift. And it taught me Polaris, the North Star. And I think you can see what the sky looked like during, the Egyptian times, or it's not finished. I think it's going to be finished 2023. But I had an opportunity to do his website. And at the time it was like one of my first websites. And so it was pretty exciting to go out there, take the pictures, meet with Charles Ross. And I remember he was showing us solar burns, how the winter solstice and the summer solstice, the sun spirals in and then it spirals out in different patterns. So that's when I really realized that they're about the solstices, but also equinoxes, and then how these civilizations have built their temples aligned to the equinoxes or the solstices, the Mayans, right? So I was studying art history. I was studying the Mayans. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's very like a lot of the art that I was studying was really linked to the stars. So it's when you're in this realm, you cannot. It's just like studying Egyptian, culture. You can't separate astronomy and astrology and architecture. And so I've always had a fascination with these Earth star or these Earth sculptures that mimic the stars in some way. And so after that, I knew people in Santa Fe. We used to speak astrology. It was really just kind of like a normal conversation, like what sign are you? You know, it was ingrained. It wasn't something I needed to sit down and study.
Inbuilt.
Yeah, like I didn't like take a class. It was just something that I was absorbing from my environment. And I would go to the bookstore and I would read all astrology books, and you'd always find me in the metaphysical section trying to connect the dots. And it was culturally, it was really enriching, but I didn't take it seriously as something that I could offer somebody, or I was just kind of building that language. And then it wasn't until recently that I found Astro Hub, shamanic astrology.
Right.
Yeah. Shamanic astrology, we would go on these journeys to meet the guardian of the planet. And so that way, like I studied draconic astrology, which is a different way to read a chart, Vedic astrology. So I just read and I just tried to figure this out. And I'm like, why is this not clicking? And because it really just didn't make that much sense to me. But I took it piecemeal. I just kind of went with the Western astrology and then applied it. But my fascination really lied with the precession of the equinoxes and everything I learned with star axis. So when it gelled, that after I did the shamanic astrology class, something really was tuning me into the stars as a rhythm, right? And when I started really tuning in more in my body, I started really wanting to pay attention to the stars. And I don't have a telescope. You know, in Santa Fe, there was always somebody someone who worked for NASA, and we'd go up on the roof, and the stars are probably how it is out in the middle of the ocean, you know, like out in the desert, it's just pitch black. So you can see shooting stars, you can see meteor showers. And there was somebody who had a telescope. So I remember looking at the stars I think he used to work for NASA, and he had his humongous telescope, you know, and being here in Florida, I'm near NASA. It's about, I guess, like Little Cape Canaveral. I used to go to college in Orlando, so we would sometimes there would be conferences about that. Those are some old terms. I don't know if I'm going to remember the Cassini or something. There was some conferences about NASA, and I would sometimes I could sit in with a lecture. You know, that's as close as I got to. So I never took an astronomy class. But we could sit on and say, oh, they're going to send this up, and what do we think about it? So I'd sit on, and I had some influences from NASA. I'm familiar with it. Like I've been to NASA. I have been to a couple of shuttles, some launches, and there are dolphins that swim in the water, the launch. So dolphins are always following. They're always around the stars. So I had NASA to just, I guess, keep this passion alive. And now it kind of gelled. Like I was saying, I started becoming really in tune. I don't have a telescope, but I use Sky Guide app. And I downloaded the Sky Guide app. So I started following the stars. Where is the moon tonight? And then I realized that the Western astrology, tropical astrology charts were not telling me exactly where the moon was. When I looked at the Sky Guide app, the moon was in Aries, and if I looked at the Western astrology, it would say it was in Taurus. So it was always one sign ahead, and I didn't quite understand that until about 2 years. I think it was last year. We did the Wessex Aystrom group, because that's where we met.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get to that bit yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go on.
Do you want to do? I can pause. Do you want to ask some questions? Because I will keep rambling.
No, well, gosh, you've got so much information, and I have to be honest, I don't really study the stars. I know I'm a Scorpio, I know I'm 11/11 and all of this. And, when I lived in Glastonbury, people would say, where's your moon and where's your sun sign? And, I used to have to write it down in my diary to know where I was. So I'd never really studied it or taken it on board. So meeting you and understanding a little bit more about the 13th. But I think for people that don't know anything about the 13th star signs or astrology, can you sort of explain a little bit how you go from the 12th to the 13th, what the differences are?
Yeah. So tropical Western astrology is the more common astrology when you read a horoscope or you see it online, right? That's the 12 star. And what they have done is they have calculated the start of the zodiac as 0 degrees Aries. So they're saying, hey, let's start here. And they're going to start there at the spring equinox, which is March 21st. Sometimes it's March 20th. And so on that day, all on the horizon at the equinox, there's a constellation that's going to be rising. And what the Western astrology has calculated is they say that it starts at 0 degrees Aries, no matter what. Every single year, it's going to be at 0 degrees. Now, what has happened is the precession of the equinoxes, they haven't taken that into account. The 13 star astrology, which is the calculation of the precession of the equinoxes, which says that the stars have shifted over time. And what they've done, what they've calculated is that they shift 1 degree every 72 years. So if you do a little bit of that math, what you're going to come up with is there's a difference of 24 degrees. So the point of 0 Aries is going to be 24 degrees before that, which is in Pisces, because of the precession of the equinoxes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand now, because I was thinking, well, I've come across it a few times in different ways, and I'm thinking, well, there's obviously a crossover point, but so that makes total sense of what you're saying.
It's taking me a while too. I've been doing this for about a year, shifting my mind and from the tropical Western to the sidereal astrology. And the sidereal astrology is used in Vedic. It's used in many different types of astrology. And what fascinates me is not only the precession of the equinoxes in the sidereal astrology, it's that there is another zodiac constellation called a Fucus. And it runs, when the sun runs along the ecliptic, it passes through a Fucus. And I think that for about 18 days. And it only goes in Scorpio for 1 week. And the moon goes through Scorpio for 1 day. So it's very Scorpio is a very small constellation. And then there's a Fucus, which has more of the span. I feel like if you're going to group them together, a Fucus is the energy of where the sun is when we have for December, for the winter or the summer solstice, right? It depends where you are, but the winter solstice for us, or summer solstice for Christmas. Let's just say for Christmas, or whatever you whatever you celebrate around that time, around in December, this wanting to sing, the celebration, that all that energy is a fucus, and it spends very little time in Scorpio. So the sidereal astrology has the precession of the equinoxes. It tells us that the stars have shifted over some time. And if you do the calculations, the astrology, the Western astrology, is counting from Ptolemy, from when Claudius Ptolemy, I think that's his first name, Ptolemy, he calculated the stars in 200, I think it's 285 BC or 83 BC. So I'm reading
a long time ago.
Yeah, so I'm reading Kanadas, and I get that from Vasilis Kanadas. And I want to tell you, he's Greek. He's very informative. I'm reading his book. It's the Astrology of the 13 Signs of the Zodiac. I'll bring it in.
Oh yeah, that's the one you showed me. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're enjoying that one.
It's thin, yeah. It's thin. It's an easy read. He is so funny. There you go. He is so funny because he says, "Well, everybody, it seems that we're still following Ptolemy, and that was 83 BC. So he's saying if he was here in 2021 and he's saying we're still following his calculations." Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's a really good book. So what he's taken is he's calculated not only the sidereal astrology, he has his own count. And it's not only the sidereal, which you can go on any sites that do 13 astrology with like Walter Berg, or there are some people that have included a fucus. It's not only just including the 13 star fucus, it's following Kanada's count. He has calculated it precisely to match the Sky Guide app. That's the genius here, is that when you look at the Sky Guide app or telescope, I'm probably going to look into getting one since this is my new thing, my new hobby. When you look at the sky, the Kanada's count, so you have to go and you have to put Kanada's count. He calculates it exactly how it is in these astrology charts. And that's why I call it Green Dragon astrology, because it is sidereal astrology, but it's his count. So it's a little bit of a VIP, or a specific kind of chart that I think that is exact to what the sky looks like. And if I was doing a Earth Star temple, I would know exactly how to, like I have it, we have ideas, right, to do maybe gardens or architecture according to the stars. I would use this count.
All right, brilliant.
Yeah.
Hey, I was in New Mexico, and went to Las Vegas, New Mexico, where the hot pools are.
Yeah.
And there's a college across the creek that we went into. Is that the place you're talking about where the sculpture is?
Yeah. The Star Axis is in Las Vegas. I don't know how close it is to that college, but I know what college you're talking about. That's
because they had a huge pyramid. Oh, it was a circular room with a pyramid on top, and the acoustics was amazing. It didn't look like just a normal college. It looked something quite spectacular.
Maybe you've been there, because it is a huge pyramid.
Yeah, I've been in there. My friends are on the boat. We all went there.
Awesome.
Yeah, just out of Santa Fe, there's another place we went to. A guy set up those earth temples. So he used all these big rocks, and he set up all these different spirals and Sundance or something. When you mentioned something, I thought, God, I think you must have been in the same place, because this guy is university degrees and all that stuff, but he actually paints, and he gets these really amazing paintings that are about 10 feet by 10 feet, and but he finds it's just because of the magnetic fields on the property. Once he's created these earth temples that relate to different star systems. It must be about an hour out of Santa Fe heading south.
Wow.
Sundance or something? I don't know.
That sounds familiar. Sundance. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
That's
anyway. So I'm just changing the subject somewhat, but
no, you're not. That's exactly where we're at, because that's where I was living, and that's the environment. Those are like-minded people. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So carrying on with the subject here, you got the green dragon astronomy now. So you've actually started to realize that.
Yeah. And only, that's right. Only in the last year, I would say, my friend, now I don't take all the credit, because this genius idea of piecing this all together came from our West 6 Astrum group, and people that joined the West 6 Astrum group. Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit? Okay.
Yeah, that's where we connected through a friend, or I saw your post or something, and I can't remember what. I think it was something to do with ley lines or something. I can't recall now, but just I know I've been in different places, and I've said to you, what's the nearest ley line or sacred spot here that I can connect with?
Right, the dragon line.
Yeah, on the dragon lines, and you've sent me some different information.
Oh yeah.
And then I suppose, what is it, in the last few months that we've I think I private messaged you about something. Oh no, I know you put a post out offering green astrology readings, and I thought, oh, well, that could be interesting. And I gave you my information, and you sent me the charts, which, like, are like, they look lovely, but they don't mean any. I could be reading German here. I haven't got a clue.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's
well, it is. It's a whole different language, isn't it? Whole different thing.
It is, and it's just like math, where it just kind of builds. So something like this, if you train yourself, it's not so everything makes sense, but you have to go very slowly. But eventually, you'll get there, and it's very overwhelming too. But with all these symbols, but it reminds it's like it's a map. For me, it's like a compass, but a little bit at a time. That's right. I did your astrology chart.
Yeah. So this is the one in front of us now. Is that the main one? Because I think was it 3 that you did?
Yeah, this one's good. It has the asteroids, the goddesses. So I like to include the goddesses, which are Juno, Ceres, Lilith, and Hygeia. And a lot of the myths of these goddesses, they relate to Ophiuchus, who is represented in, I think it's Greek mythology, as Asclepius, the healer. And Chiron, who's also the medicine man, the healer. And I just found out, or I just read about Hercules, how Hercules was a healer, a medicine man too. So a lot of with shamanic astrology, and then the goddesses, and then the myths that go along with it. When I start becoming more into exactly, so it's Ophiuchus, who is related to Asclepius, who has the serpent, or the wisdom bearer, and the healer, and sometimes we can relate it to the caduceus, right? The staff and the snakes. So the power of Ophiuchus, I feel like, is not only like within our psyche, if you could say, if we're speaking in like Greek terms, or in like a Greek play, it's like our psyche. I think it introduces us and gives us permission to bear the serpent, to have the wisdom. So I feel like with Green Dragon Astrology and 13 star constellations, what we're doing is we're giving ourselves permission to have this serpent wisdom, to have the tap into the healer, because it plays a part in our awakening to a higher self, or to our chironic crisis, or our Neptune. So do you remember, one of our conversations, I probably said something about how Neptune is your higher self or your mystic healer, and then Chiron could be some kind of crisis or some wound that you are going to have a challenge, but then you're going to give it to humanity as a gift. Like, this is something I've gone through, but look, it was my challenge. And so we look to Chiron. So if Fucus, being a part of the round table, so to speak, like being a part of the conversation, being part of the council, what we're doing is we're giving ourselves permission to tap into the wisdom that does unlock, I feel like, unlock our stars. It unlocks our way of living. Like, after I started paying attention to my astrology chart, I felt more connected, as almost like it was like a stream. I felt like there was always some kind of block, or I felt like I didn't quite sync up, or I was out of rhythm somehow. But even just acknowledging a Fucus, saying, okay, wait, there's a place in my chart that I have like this deep inner wisdom, and how can I connect to that? Because that's kind of what we all want to do. We all want to connect to our soul, or ourselves, our higher selves, and feel grounded. That's what a Fucus does.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right. So if we go back to the chart, I mean, so this is when people book with you they'll get obviously their date of birth and everything. And then, so what are the main highlights when you look at that chart? What would you be looking at there?
Well, when I do an overview, what we'll look at is we'll look at where your sun is. We'll look at where your moon is, which is like your inner aspect. We'll look at your sun, which is your identity, your personality. And then we'll look at the main planets, which are Mars and Neptune. And first, I'll give you an overview of what collectively, where your strengths are, and how you operate in the world. For instance, when I was looking at your chart, I saw that you had something to do with singing, because a Fucus, I'm now relating a Fucus to like singing Christmas carols and singing, because we all want to sing during like December. And I'm like, what is this about? I think it's a Fucus. So I saw something with Chiron as a gift. So when I look at a chart, I will always look at Chiron, because Chiron is your gift. And then I'll tune into Neptune and see what Neptune's doing. Your Neptune is exact Pallas Athena. And Pallas Athena is a goddess that is she's a warrior, but she's into justice. So what she'll do is, like, that's your warrior side. And Neptune is connected to the ocean and to whales. So what I saw is somebody, like, if you were a part of a cause, it would be to protect the whales or protect dolphins or the ocean. Or maybe you live near the ocean and you feel like this is your territory and this is where you belong. So right off, when I first saw it, your chart, that's what I mentioned, right? I was like, you love to live near water. So that's what I'll look at. Just I just tune into where the moon is and the sun, Chiron and Neptune, because it gives you a theme for your life. Like, what are your challenges? And then when are you connecting to your higher self? Because there's a stage, like there's a time when planets come around, and the planets that aspect this. So say Neptune is wherever Neptune is right now in the stars, it's going to be aspecting your Neptune. So there's going to be a time of an awakening. There's going to be a time of a crisis. There's going to be a time of you questioning things. So because I've had so much of this in my life, I don't mind going to the depths with people, like holding their hand saying, well, you're kind of going through Neptune square your Neptune. So prepare for, like loss of everything, or, like you want to just go live on a boat and go out into the whales, right? And
yes, please.
Go journey in the whales, right, Jeff? I mean, it's like sometimes in life you just want to be out in the ocean. And so sometimes in a chart you can see that. You can see how the planets will come around. So that's what I look at. I'll look at like, where is the transformation? Because that's where I don't know, but I'm drawn to, I guess as an artist, I'm drawn to alchemizing pain into joy, right? It's kind of what painters do.
Wow. Amazing. Anything you want to ask, Jeff?
Well, what I find amazing is the 13th sign has always been used in esoterical knowledge. It's always been hidden, but slowly but surely it's been revealed. I noticed that you mentioned Lilith there too, because Lilith has always been ostracized and demonized by Catholicism. And that's a really interesting story about Lilith in itself. I mean, in Glastonbury, there's a Lilith bookstore. I didn't realize just how important Lilith is in terms of as a goddess, as well as astrological terms, isn't it? So the female goddess form is quite strong in Glastonbury.
Interesting.
Yeah, very much.
So why do you think the 13th sign's been hidden from mainstream education?
Well, when I look at the time of Ptolemy, when he only claimed, I think it was like 88 or 48, when there were certain constellations that were going to be charted in the 12 houses. They did it for seasonal reasons, I guess, for the calendar. Maybe it was easy for it to be 12, and they divided it, right, for the 360.
We go back to Pope Gregory then, who came up with
I think it was just probably easier at the time. They say, okay, well, let's just do, let's just 6 and 6 and 12, and then we'll do it every 30 days. And it was for the sake of the calendar. And I think who I forget who it was Constantinople. There was a few calendar shifts where they deleted 11 days off of the calendar, and then for the sake of celebrations. So it was a merging over time with religions and who was in charge. So I think that's going on. But I also think it's connected with the snake and the serpent. I think it's about healing. I think it's about transformation, and also the gifts or the healing abilities that we all have as humans. I think there was some suppression or oppression, I guess you could say, where that power to heal with plants, like Hercules, I think, was a medicine man and was really good with plants, or Chiron he was a healer too. And also Hygeia, she was Asclepius's daughter, I think, work with Chiron. So these characters, I guess you could say, were all healers, and they worked with medicinal plants. So from my view today, I'm seeing how that could possibly be ridiculed or weeded out of our society, where you look to the church to heal you, or look to other things to heal you. Because from my personal experience of what Ophiuchus has enlightened, how he has that, because it is an energy of it is an energy of a male type energy. There's also feminine because it's phi, but it is the phi, which is the pi, which is the circular golden ratio, has to do possibly with like the golden ratio, which if it is to be hidden, almost like it could be a key to unlock possibly a way to enlighten yourself or to become powerful in some way. And I think that maybe it's not even that deep, but for me, recognizing pi, especially as an artist with golden ratio and Da Vinci, all the Da Vinci codes, the Da Vinci secrets, I think it's related to phi and 13, not as a number. Like, I don't know if 13, this is where we can get into spaces where I don't know, but for me, I'm pretty sure about the serpent wisdom and the Ophi, like the pi. Okay. But to calculate things as like 12 houses and 12 calendar months.
Yeah.
I'm not really too sure about that, because there are 13 moon phases, and the lunar calendar, I think it's Hebrew, they go by 13 moons. So I'm wondering, with their 13 moons, why can't there be the 13 suns or sun phases too?
Mm.
So come back to this. So, for example, you always talk about, when you do star signs, you always talk about a planet, and then this planet that relates to a constellation. So like Jupiter relates to Sagittarians. And you also look for the sun and you look for the moon. So the only thing that I noticed in all these star charts and star signs is that you never find Earth relating to a constellation. So is it possible that Earth relates to your 13th sign?
Possibly. That's a really good idea.
Very.
The golden. Because
see, in the story of Greek mythology, I mean, Zeus had Apollo.
Okay, that's right.
Apollo had a son called, it starts with M, Mississippi. I can't bloody pronounce Greek anyway. And his son was god of medicine and healing. And he actually used snakes, and he could just walk around snakes and all that stuff. He had this relationship with snakes, but he was a tremendous healer. And in the story of that mythology, he actually healed, one of his mates died and was going to Hades, and this guy brought him back to life. And so Hades talked to his brother Zeus and said, "Mate, you can't do that. This guy's going to bloody heal all the people, and I won't have anybody in my realm, So old Zeus baby sent down a bloody thunderbolt and took out, Apollo's son. Off he went. So the son went down to Hades, and then so Apollo went to bloody old Jupiter baby and said, "Listen, mate, you can't do that to my son. Shit." So then Zeus had to go down to Hades and say to his brother, "Listen, mate, this is Apollo's son. You're going to have to let him go." And so Hades released his Apollo's son. So then Zeus put him up into the star system and created a constellation out of him. Just giving you a heads up.
That's right. No, that's good. That's true. And so I'm wondering, I think it has to do with healing and healing powers, maybe, possibly, or maybe it was them just thinking that, it's just a shortcut to do the 12 calendars, and they just made it easier. I'm not quite sure.
I'm going down that path with Pope Gregory because he made a few changes there. I mean, he's a very spiritual man in his own right, because he had a piece of cloth and he could put a needle through it, and out come blood. He's pretty spiritual man.
Yeah.
Right, so Green Dragon Astrology, so it's all about the 13th sign. So are you saying instead of being in Aries, you start in Pisces and then you thread your way through? So the 13th sign slots in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, or is that where it slots in? Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
So in the 13 signs, then, instead of being 30 days or 31 days or 28 days or a leap year, so each sign would have what? Approximately 20-something days, 21 days?
That's the thing, is they vary. Virgo and Pisces goes on beyond, I think, 30 degrees. I think it goes even like 40. And then Ophiuchus is only 18 degrees, so it's only about 18, 19 days. So each house, each sign, that's the other thing, is the 12 houses. I haven't quite figured that out because each constellation they vary. So if we were to do a calendar, each month would be different days. If we were going to do a Scorpio calendar, Scorpio would be about a week, and then the Ophiuchus would be about 19 days, and etc. So it would be a new way. It wouldn't be a well, if you do the sun, it will vary. But if you do the moon, if you do like the moon is usually the 29 days or 20 days. It depends on which moon. So you could regulate it that way. That would be the 13 moons. So yeah,
the thing is, there's, I mean, like energy and the planets, everything's moving, isn't it? Everything's, nothing stays still, does it? And it's like, so with the planets and all that moving, whereas like, the clock is fixed, the star signs are fixed. So you can see where there's a difference. What was I going to ask you about so of people that have come to you and had the Green Dragon Astrology, has it made much more sense to them than the traditional 12 star sign?
I've had various feedback. Some people, they really are attached to the fact that they're a Leo, like you don't want to mess with people who have monogrammed their house or the pillows, or that's people. Some people are really attached to it, and that's okay. So what I have to say is that it's okay that you have a lot of Leo energy, because possibly Jupiter is in Leo or MC is in Leo, meaning like your midheaven or other planets can be there. So I try to have to help, to not devastate people. It's not as black and white as it, just because of your sun. It's really interesting how some planets have more of an effect on you, like where your moon is. I think it has more of a play on your personality than your sun, possibly. So, but you have to let them down easy, Yeah. They just keep going. I'll say, no, you're Pisces, and that's okay. On their Facebook profile, they're like, and I'm an Aries, and that's okay. I still love you, and everything's okay.
I said I was a Scorpio, like in the 12 star signs. So what am I in this one? Remind me.
You're a Libra.
A Libra, right?
Your birthday, you're 11/11, right? And I'm 11/15. So I'm November 15th. And Jeff, you're November 27th, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we're all November babies.
Yeah.
And we're both Libra, but Jeff, you're a real Scorpio. Like, you're the real deal.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Don't tell him that. We're never at the end of it.
It's rare.
Hey, I won't. I'll let it go. Hey, we got this little thing that you sent too. This chart about
Oh, okay. So this was birthed during a conversation with Catherine Kinney, she's a numerologist, and I went to her for a numerology reading, and in our conversation, we realized that we both were interested in the 13 stars and then how it relates to Earth. You could say stone circles, because this is Stonehenge. So I've always been fascinated with Stonehenge and the star planetary alignments. So we co-created this together, and Golden Gate is during the winter solstice, and then summer solstice. And obviously that could switch, but it's really the silver gate that we're looking at, which is near Orion, which is near in the Taurus constellation. And the opposite that is where a fucus is. So a fucus, so on the left side here, you have a fucus. That's the Golden Gate. Opposite is Orion. And when there's an alignment, say there's the sun in December in Ophiuchus, and then we possibly might have the moon on the opposite side, say maybe there's like a full moon in December, you're going to have a 4 royal star gate happen. And those are the 4 royal stars right there: Antares, Aldebaran, Fomalhaut, and then Regulus. And Antares is in Scorpio, and it's one of the brightest stars, right? And it's called Antares because it means anti-Aries, and back in the day, Aries was represented by Mars, or Scorpio is represented by Mars, which is a red planet. And Antares is a very bright planet, so anybody can go outside and look at like Antares and Venus and Aldebaran, very bright stars, and Regulus, just recently with the Lion's Gate. So these are the 4 royal stars. So what we were saying is we're saying that these are stargates. So when there's an alignment at these specific points, there's a stargate that opens up, which means there's starlight that is coming into the planet in a specific formation. Yeah.
Amazing.
Pretty cool. Very
cool. Very.
And star axis really led me to thinking along these lines of planetary alignments with earthworks and earth stars, because that's where we met with the Wessex Astrom group, with the earth stars and the dragon lines. So this one is the same concept, but what I did was I drew the constellations, and I filled in where Ophiuchus would be, which is the Serpens, which is right near winter solstice Golden Gate. If you can see that little, it's like a little circle with like maybe 2 little lines, like a little rabbit ears. It's in the circle, Scorpio, and that's just an overlapping. It's just the way I drew it, and I got this information. I think that's where it is in the stars. So I think it falls a little forward. I'm not quite sure about that. But Draco's in the middle, and the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper. So Draco is the North Star, right? Or was. Thuban was like but that would be where Polaris is. And the North, like the North Star, right? Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So that's where when I really connected the dots with Stonehenge, and then there are people like Maria Wheatley and Hamish Miller who doused the dragon lines, right? And Maria Wheatley, and all the information I started stumbling upon had to do with the dragon lines. And then how the dragon lines are really active during a certain star alignment. Like Rory Duff, he knows a lot about the emperor dragons, and he's spoken a lot about these planetary alignments at certain times when, like the summer solstice or the equinox. If we even meditate, or we're part, or we go to one of these stone circles, and we access the nodes, right, at certain times, then the morphogenic fields, I guess, of ourselves and the trees, and they call it like geomythics. I think it was Anthony Roberts. He coined the names, like there's the mythical story that goes along with the geology, right? So my fascination now is to track the stone circles, the planetary alignments, and then the dragon lines, like
Wow.
how Uluru happened, the activation with Uluru, and Saturn and Pluto alignment, and then this Saturn and Jupiter conjunction.
So with all this amazing information that you've got, you know, with the planets, the ley lines, the dragon lines, and so much more, have you got more of a mission or purpose, what you want to do with it, than what you're doing now? Because I mean, you're doing amazing with it all now. I
do. I have a few ideas. I had this dream the other night, and usually my visions, like for instance, the Green Dragon Astrology logo was a vision, but it was inspired by the Spine of Albion. Gary Biltcliffe and Carolyn Hoare wrote Spine of Albion, and also Power of Center, and the brilliant books to track the dragon lines along the UK. And the vertical north and south one is the Spine of Albion, and then St. Michael and Mary, Hamish Miller and Paul Broadhurst douse the east-west line. Well, I have a fascination with certain times, right, when the planets align. But so back to my dream. I had a dream, and the logo came to me kind of in a dream, but it was inspired by all this work with the spirals and everything. What I would love to do is a whale. I had this really, I think I told you, I had this like whale dream that came to me. I would love to do a garden project where people create gardens that have the geometric alignments. For instance, the Metatron's cube painting. I keep seeing this Metatron's cube, and that's what we superimposed over the Wessex Astrum. It's a 6-pointed star. So I would love to have these gardens where they're made up of Metatron's cube, where it's like an earth work, where you can create maybe like stone, or you can do it however you can do it very. We can have a huge construction project, or you can just do your little stones outside. But I'm thinking I want to start there, where I want to build and create a Metatron's cube garden, and then and I'm thinking that to understand the Earth stars, because if you're interested in Earth stars, Michael Poinder wrote Pie in the Sky, and he talked about how the whole globe is like filled with Earth stars, right? All 6-pointed stars. So if we have these garden projects, if we had Metatron's cube as the template, I'm wondering, and then we planted like vegetables and herbs, and maybe it extended to permaculture, or maybe food forests where you can have an edible backyard. It depends where you live. But right. I think it'd be really good to then track the planetary alignments, the full moon, the new moon, and then use it to grow gardens, probably how they used to.
That sounds fabulous.
Back in the day.
When I can manifest a lovely home, if anybody knows of anything down south, I am looking for a lovely little sanctuary to call home, and with a garden and a bath. That I would love something like that. But I don't know if you've heard of Don Conroe. He's an American. I'm not sure where he was born now, but he's a gong maestro. He's in his late 80s now. And we went to gong camp it's Dorset somewhere. I've forgotten the area, but he actually built a planetary system of stones and what have you in alignment with the stars. So I don't know.
Wow. Send me that information.
I'll give you that information afterwards. But yeah, he was highly attuned with the planets and the gongs, and we'd gone to Dorset House. I'm not sure if it's just Dorset House, Dorset. Anyway, I'll check that out. But we went to Gong Camp for a weekend. We were gonged all weekend.
Oh my god!
It was magic, I tell you. Oh my god!
They are. That's incredible. It takes you to a whole other realm.
Oh god, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, gong. Having your breakfast.
Yeah, you're gong with the gongs.
You're gone with the gongs.
Yeah.
Gone with the wind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So
okay,
I know.
So just to come on here, you do. If people want to get a chart, yeah, they just get hold of you.
What's
You'll ask
that?
for the birth date, the birthplace, nearest major town, birth time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So when you message me, your birth date, your birthplace, and then the nearest city. Sometimes I can find the city, but sometimes I like the major city, and then usually 1 or 2 days. I like to take some time with it, and I'll give a overview, a 20-minute audio recording, and then I'll give you another 20-minute audio recording of the transits, of where the current planets are, and then how it's affecting your natal chart. And your natal chart is your birth chart. So yeah, contact me, reach out if you want to know your 13 star signs. And then also, if you're interested, I give you the Sky Guide app pictures, the photos of where the stars were when you were born. And for me, that visualization it really solidifies it when I see that my moon was in Taurus, and then I can see the Pleiades star constellation. So it's it makes it really real. And the amazing technology we have right now with Sky Guide app or any astrology app, because there are probably more that I don't know of. So I use Sky Guide, but if you have a telescope, that's even better. But you can't go back into time with the telescope. That's what's so cool.
But I think it would be nice to have those star sign, the picture of your stars when you were born, like actually, because I think that's sort of pretty special.
Yeah, to have it printed out or something.
Yeah. That would be
beautiful. I would love to have it on a T-shirt too.
Yeah,
with a fucus.
Very interesting. But perhaps another time you'd come on and talk about for people who don't know much about the ley lines and where sacred sites are, and the song lines, and the dragon lines, and this line and that line.
I would love to. There's so much there.
Oh, yes,
it's incredible. I mean, I would love for people. I can envision them gathering and having complete knowledge that this is the feminine dragon line or the masculine dragon line. That would just be incredible. Yeah, especially for the UK and in Australia too, and New Zealand. Hamish Miller doused New Zealand. So in the search for the Southern Serpent, he documented it there. So
yeah, I know I followed some of his posts on Facebook, and just amazing.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
I would love that. If you want to have an earful of the dragon mats, there's so much, and it's really it's not really even my information. It's just my passion for reading it, and it's what our contemporaries are doing. I've Gary Biltcliffe and Carolyn Hoare, and then the late Hamish Miller, but all Paul Broadhurst And then I go on Facebook, and Peter Knight and Tony Perot wrote the Wessex Astrum. That's how this all started with Sue Coulson. Sue Coulson and the Cosmic Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Love it. Mm.
Yeah, that's how it all started. Quite an adventure, huh?
God.
So you're going to go look at the stars now and appreciate. You're going to go, where's
Yeah. Well, when I go out here, I mean, I'm currently in Bristol at the moment. And, well, I haven't seen many stars because it's so cloudy.
Yeah.
You know, I do, and I have looked, and I've just seen like a tiny little pinprick, and I think, oh, and I wonder where that could be. It's just a tiny, tiny little dot in the sky. Whereas, you know, like traveling around Australia and Hawaii, like the stars, oh my God, it's just
incredible.
Like, cool. But yeah, so no, it's not so easy to find the stars here as other places. But, you know, it just depends where you are, really.
Yeah, it's the same.
I got up at 4 o'clock the other morning. I got up at 4 o'clock the other morning, and the whole stars, thousands of thousands, right down to the waterline.
Oh my God.
So it was amazing.
It's like a whole other world.
Yeah. Oh.
It's like the ocean to me. That's the way New Mexico is. It's just, the stars are just so incredible. Yeah, it's usually cloudy here. So, I mean, Florida, we do have some beautiful clear skies, but you're near the light pollution. So it's not as, that's why the Sky Guide app is handy, but I would love to live underneath the stars like that, like in Arizona or something, or out on a boat.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you coming on board tonight.
This morning.
Thank you so much. It was such a great opportunity. You know, I love talking about it, obviously. So it's but it's been a pleasure. I feel really honored to be on your radio show. So thank you.
Oh, it's been our pleasure. I mean, you've got so much knowledge and wisdom in all of this. It's like, whoa. So yeah, so thank you for sharing all your knowledge and wisdom, and we look forward to seeing you another time.
Oh, you're welcome. I'd love to be back. I'd love to share more. So thank you.
I'll hold you to that.
Oh, I will.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.